Hello, everyone. Welcome back to more
Welcome.
Fall of Magic. I believe we were moving into Catalyst's turn.
Yes,
We
Catalyst, Desperate Limited.
Desperate Limited.
Oh,
Uh
no.
6 1s.
Oh,
What does that get me? All right. So, um, where are we going to go? We're going to go to Oak Island. A happy memory. And I'm going to take the fox with me.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess the fox Caspian has just found curiosity in the golem
Yep.
and is following along.
So, the golem, after its
How do you get to the
talk,
island?
we're going to get there.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Okay. So, after his talk with on Swine Hill.
River.
Yep. They walk, or he walks down, and by the river is a graying fox drinking some water. The golem kind of takes curiosity in the fox. It's noticed that it's been around, but it hasn't talked to it or interacted with it in really any sort of way.
Mhm.
And as the fox drinks, the golem kind of like walks as quietly as it can. And for such a little thing, it does really well right up until it gets to the riverbed, where it slips on the bank and comes sliding down,
Oh, I think
making all sorts of ruckus as it does, releasing a sound of cymbals and flutes and organs. Like it's every sort of instrument as it panics as it falls down.
I think Caspian definitely starts at that. Yes, and hops up onto a rock like by the water.
And it kind of waves its hands and whistles slowly at the fox.
I think Caspian comes over and sniffs the golem.
So as he's being sniffed, Harp reaches out his cobbled stone fingers and rustles the top of the fox's head right in between the ears.
Okay. And
And oh, go ahead.
I think as you do, you see like a mark. It's not like a scar, but it's just like it's like an image that's there, like an ephemeral image on the fox's head.
Okay.
It's like this weird symbol that like vanishes almost as soon as you do it.
Um the golem unfortunately takes no notice of this. It's not a perceptive creature, but it looks around, and across the river, or in the river itself, is a fair sized landmass that splits the river in half. And it looks around at the small island and notices that there is a flute on the other side of it. And Harp gets really excited upon seeing this flute and starts making flute sounds as well. But as it goes up and down the bank of the river, it doesn't quite see how to get across the river. But it's very apparent that it wants across the river now.
I think So there's like a flute sitting on the bank, or
Yeah, so it's like on the bank, and the reason why we can see it so well is because it's a metal flute.
oh, so it's like shining.
So it's shining on the other side.
I think Caspian kind of watches for a moment, and then he looks across the distance, kind of hangs his head and sighs, and then he like leaps into the water and kind of swims across to the island and fetches the flute. And
S-
taking it gingerly in his mouth, swims back across. Or
Or
I mean, was there something you were gonna say?
no, that works perfectly. So upon seeing the fox go, or upon seeing Caspian like swim across the river, Harp starts mimicking the movements that he uses, and takes a couple of steps into the river and just splashes continuously, sinks completely, but
doesn't breathe.
doesn't breathe. So all you see underneath the water is splash, 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 splash.
Nice. And yeah, I think Caspian just kind of sets the flute down on the other end and watches the golem splashing.
It takes a little while for the golem to just stop. The river eventually becomes a normal stream of water once again. And a little bit further down the river, the golem reemerges from it, looks at the flute, and whistles again. So he trots excitedly towards the flute, picks it up, pets Caspian yet again, and puts the flute like lengthwise into his head. And the flute disappears in the top of its head.
Oh.
And now when it whistles, it makes two flute sounds. So one's a little bit higher and one's a little bit lower. But they complement each other. And that'll end the scene.
Nice.
Okay.
The prompt, you gotta think about the prompts, I think.
It is a happy
Is it
memory.
happy memory? Happy memory.
They make a happy memory.
We've made it.
Exactly.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind. I take it
You
back.
need to think about the prompts, Elf.
Listen.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I'll shut up.
I tried. I
Never
was trying.
talking
I was trying.
I'm
to be
muting you, Andrew.
helpful.
No.
I was trying to be helpful. That was good.
Okay, well, I am going to move
You gonna move the Magus?
the Magus. We're going to the frickin' Mistwood.
Are we?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And so the like we're still in Barley Town when this scene opens up, and it's the Magus standing there, having like shed all of her clothes, and she's standing in front of this big oaken vat thing, and the giant is just pointing at it, and we see the Magus just like frowning, and then like walks over to it and climbs over the lip into this like brackish brown liquid, and just like shudder as they like take this awkward bath in it. And then like a bunch of crows like fly off into the air. And then it's like, you know, a couple days later, and everyone's walking this path into the Mistwood, and the Magus, who we've described as like being quite young, right? Like she's this kind of younger woman.
Yeah.
But she's like stooped a little, and she's walking like she's leaning on this staff that she has a lot more heavily, and like hugging her cloak to her chest, like she's feeling cold or whatever. And she's just kind of like plodding along very slowly. And the others are forced to like wait. Maybe we see like Caspian like running up ahead over the crest of a hill and like looking around, all, like alert and poised for danger, and but then needing to like run back and just wait as the Magus like kunk, kunk, like, up the hill into the Mistwood, which lives up to its name and is full of mists and frickin' enormous trees. Like
Nice.
misty redwood forest is kind of what I'm
Nice. Yeah.
yeah. So there's like the dark red soil and then the deep green of the foliage above.
Nice.
Mhm.
Cool.
That's the scene. It's over.
Caspian.
Yeah, Caspian. What does our fox want to do? Let me grab these. Drag them over. Ah, here we go. Oh. Where do I want to go?
I don't know.
I'm going to do foraging.
Oh, we have to roll dice.
Yes, we do. The lesson you teach. I don't know. How good is River at like surviving on her own in the wilderness?
I don't know. Not super great, I would imagine. She's not a ranger or anything. She's from
Okay.
Stormguard. A place
Yeah.
of the best knights.
Yeah, so I think Caspian has like come to you early morning and woken you up. And
Oh, what?
he says, "Come on, city girl." Um, he says, "It's time for you to earn your keep around here." He doesn't say it like meanly though.
My keep?
I'll show you where you can get food.
Alright, fine.
All right, then I gotta roll a die.
Just get out of my tent.
One. Where you are wrong. So yeah, I think what happens is he is kind of leading you along, and he's speaking to you about how to find rabbits and deer and things like that, and leading you through the misty paths. And at some point, he stops and he looks around. And he realizes that you're lost. And he
Can't you just follow our footsteps back home or something? Caspian, can't you smell Vaughn back at camp? Maybe?
he's like sniffing the air. He says things have changed.
Changed? You mean here? Since you were last here?
Yes. The paths, they're not the same. I don't, it's like we need to find our way back.
I mean, my first step would be turn around and head back the way we came.
And I think for a while we try that. Um, but I think like it just ends up being, more and more misty, trackless, giant
Yeah.
trees. And we hear the sound of wolves howling in the distance. And Caspian looks around nervously.
Oh,
And
now who's teaching who? Scared of a few wolves?
they're a little bigger than me. Um, because they travel in packs.
Don't worry. I'm from Stormguard. We're the best.
The I think after a while, actually I think I'll just close it here with us lost in the woods. And that,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, sure.
Okay. That's me.
You could do something beforehand if you don't want to do something lost in the woods.
I mean, I can do something after we find our way again as well. Really, the time is not important in
Yeah.
this game. Let's do by moonlight. Damn, we've been lost for a while. It's getting cold. Real cold and dark. Hopefully we'll find our way back to camp soon. But
We may want to think about taking shelter.
we can sit and wait. Maybe Fawn will find us. Or Harp. Or the Magus, even. They should be looking. Maybe? I don't know. River sighs and just walks over to a nearby, like, fallen log or something and sits down, peering up at these massive trees all around, the moon in the sky above, lighting the whole place in a very misty twilight. Yeah. Throw a few walls around that. Looks almost like a tower from Stormguard Castle.
You miss it?
I miss it. But there are plenty of people there who would have my head, so to speak. And there's magic. Magic that prevents me from returning.
It's no good to not have a home.
What was it? What was it she said? Something like, every step closer to Stormguard. Something. I don't remember. I don't remember what it was. Just can't go back there. And no home. Hoping to make a new one. What can I say? These trees. You'd think this is the kind of place that Fawn's probably from. I don't know.
I'm
Trees
from
this
here.
big. You're from here?
I am. It hasn't been that long. But as I said, things are different. I don't know. Something's wrong.
What? Shift in the ether?
Something like that.
Well-
I'm just a fox. What do I know?
I don't think you can put just a in front of anything that you are. Just a fox would not have followed us all this way.
Why are you coming along?
A good point. The Magus
Just a girl.
dies. The Magus dies. Magic dies. It's bad for everyone. Bad for business. Bad for the whole world.
Is it?
I don't know any non-magical foxes that can talk.
You don't. How many foxes do you know?
Fair. Fair.
I'm going to find us a way out of here. And he goes off to like look.
Don't just leave me that. And then like the scene is like just River waiting on her own while Caspian like runs off to get help. Oh, good times.
All right. And that's the scene?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So we're going to do Trail of the Rangers. The Changing Mist. So, the little cobblestone construct listened to the two of them bicker in tongues he didn't quite understand. They talked for long periods of time, the giant pointing to various stars and various trees, the Magus pointing at the ground or at the giant. Never once did he really understand what the others besides the Magus said. But he had feelings for those he traveled with. But it had been a long couple of days since he has seen his fox friend and his human friend. He grew worried and he trotted up beside the Magus, pulling at her robes, and attempted to make various sounds of distress and anguish over the lack of company he had. The Magus knelt down and picked him up. He felt something imbue him and was set back down on the ground. He pitter-pattered into the woods, knowing what he needed to do now. And as the mist became thicker and thicker around him, he let out a low horn sound. He patted his knees, and suddenly the sounds of drums could be heard. And the mist slowly dissipated and dissipated until it was no more. The sound of the horn could be heard throughout the entire forest, calling to all those who would listen. And he sat there, continuing to pat his drumming knees and blowing his low, low-toned horn. And I'll end the scene there.
Nice. Calling us back. I like it.
Okay, well, what am I going to do?
Good question.
I mean, I guess we'll do the what runs out camping scene.
Yeah, I mean, the scenes are not exclusive, right?
No.
So if you want to do one that's already been done, you totally can.
Well, I have thought about what runs out.
Then let's
Oh.
see it.
So the Magus and the giant are talking, as we saw previously. But now instead of this like Charlie Brown parents talking kind of vibe where it's like the golem doesn't really understand what they're saying, we get to like actually see the conversation in like in intelligible language. And yeah, the giant is like talking over the the Magus just like, no, 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 just I've had enough. All this clinging to life. It's sad, really. When it's your time to go, it's time. I don't know why you drag it out. It's disgusting. Meanwhile, everyone's wandered away. It's foolishness. I'm leaving. And she just like, she had been like kneeling down to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she like pulls her hood back, and we can see she has this like long silver hair that's like kind of almost metallically shiny. And as I described, she has this like big long nose, and she has 3 eyes, and each one is a different color. They're like red, green, blue.
Awesome.
And she blinks all of them, kind of like out of sync. It's like blink, 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 blink at the Magus, and just like, you look terrible. I'm leaving. Sick of it. When you're ready to die, come find me. And she like walks off into the woods. And I think she goes looking for River.
Mm-hmm.
And like she like scoops up Harp as she's walking, and it's like, yes, where are they? Show me. And like holding him up so that he projects further. And just kind of does this like mother hen thing of just trying to like gather everyone up as she like quickly strides through the wood.
I imagine you sort of run into River coming back through the woods, like bushwhacking with her sword, basically. To try and get through like whatever direct line to wherever the noise is coming from.
And Caspian's like, over here.
What? Who said that? And then she like looks and sees River and is like, that sword, what are you doing?
Just
ruining my woods.
clearing a path, that's all. You know,
Path is over here. And she like points.
I didn't want to lose the sound of the little golem there.
Yes, well, if you like him so much, here. And she like anyways, we're going. The Magus says to get going. Important business.
Where are we headed?
Into the Hall of the Woods. The Hall of the Woods. Come on.
The hall?
It's this way. And she like points into the woods. I'm tired of waiting. Too slow.
Yeah, okay,
Taking these like massive strides.
yeah, immediately as soon as Fawn like starts walking away, River like turns, you know, her cloak gets caught on like a branch or something as she's turning to like go, and pulls her back, and she has to like pull it off the branch and follow real quick.
Harp just like disappears under the underbrush. Like
You see, like,
happily
bushes
squealing
moving.
as he's going.
Love it.
Who are you talking to anyways? Like the witch is just always like baffled at who you would be talking to every time she runs into you hanging out with Caspian, and just like
Oh, you know.
like taking these long strides through the woods, like not even waiting for you.
Oh, you know, I say, like, calling after, like, clearly, like, having to put more effort into, like, keeping up with Fawn than Fawn takes in, like, moving. Oh, you know, just, I like to vocalize my own thoughts, like to talk to myself, make sure that, you know, stuff makes sense and everything. Because she has no idea if Caspian wants to, like, reveal themselves to everyone.
And yeah, so we just see like Fawn's back as she disappears into the mist, like this, like you see her walk off, and then like you see the silhouette in the distance, but maybe it's just a tree. It's like really hard to tell because
Yeah.
she's the same like enormous thing. So yeah, and that's the scene.
Awesome.
Okay. Nice.
All right, well, I think that's me. No, it's Sean.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and move the Magus to the Hall of the Woods. I think after Fawn leaves, the Magus is there alone in the mist, and the campfire is like burning and not casting, you know, the light is really diffuse because of the mist, and it's burning some of it away, but it's just this kind of bleak scene, and she is sitting on this log, and trying to think what she brings with her. Like, I guess we've been traveling mostly by foot. We've never have any of us like had a horse or anything like that.
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. So she's
Imagine feeding the horse that I would ride.
yeah.
Yeah.
no,
And I imagine that I've been on foot at least.
Um, so I think, she has this kind of bitter expression on her face. And you just see like there's this spite and anger that is in her eyes. And she looks around and sees that none of the others are there. And for a brief moment, she like just loses her composure and she puts her head in her hands and she starts sobbing. And as she does so, we see these figures come out of the mist. And I think we see one of them has like a rope with them. And I think that's the scene.
Okay. Cool. Who knows? Who knows? Good or bad? Hall of the Woods. Which one do I want to do? So I think I'm going to go for Circle of the Ancients. A disturbing ritual.
Ooh, can I come?
Of course. This is what happens when I follow you places. Now, the Rangers in the Woods are in the woods for a good reason. They have their own ways. They keep to themselves. And they do their own thing. Some even describe them as elves. Though they may not take to that description well themselves. Following...
Rhymed.
It kind of did, yeah. Following Fawn, River emerges into a clearing where there are several figures all standing together in a little sort of Stonehenge kind of looking area. Ruins of something or some old overgrown building fallen down. One of them turns to look at Fawn when she emerges from the tree line and sort of raises a finger to the two of them, though Fawn the most obvious, being very large. Raises a finger as if to say, don't come any closer, don't move. And looks back to the center of the circle where there is a young ranger in his cloak of leaves, sitting cross-legged, looking up into the face of an older, grizzled individual, somebody who's clearly on like the other side of 70 almost, but has lived a hard life. When you can hear the words across the way of the young fellow saying, I choose to do this willingly of my own volition, so that we may preserve the ways of our kind, of the rangers, of those who dwell in the forest, for longer than we can live. Hopefully, it shall sustain you. The old man nods. And takes a dagger from his belt and plunges it directly into the younger man's chest. The blood seeping out as he sort of falls backwards, and the old man sort of falls on top of him, almost like with the momentum of the stab. And it looks like maybe they're both unconscious, or at least injured. But then the old man gets up off the ground and looks over towards Fawn and River. And he looks a lot less old. Like maybe there's some kind of magic at play. The young man hasn't moved. Not a single toe twitches. I think that's got to be it, basically, unless you've got anything you want to say.
Maybe just so that we see Fawn like nod to one of the other rangers and then like walk over and scoop the young man up in her hand and like stow him.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Good. Catalyst.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. You know what? We're going to learn something from the Rangers.
What terrible thing will we learn from the Grey Rangers?
Yep.
I've kind of characterized them as awful already.
I did when they kidnapped the Magus.
Yeah.
So the golem has sat on top of this shelf that he was put on. The floor far too high for him to want to jump, for he might hurt his cobblestone form. And it was something he did not want to risk. As he waited, he tried to whistle, but no sounds came out. He tried to clap his hands, and there was no beating of drums, no sound at all. He tried to let out a small trumpet sound, but the air did not vibrate around him with the sounds he was so accustomed to making. It was then that he realized that his entire body was not moving. He sat there, limp, on the shelf, until an older ranger walks by and kind of grabs him by the head and rolls it from side to side, trying to look into the golem's eyes. And for the first time, he understood someone else's words besides the rangers, or besides the Magus. And the ranger says to him, "Well, I haven't seen something quite as weird as you. Something from a forgotten age. But with your master's magic dying, you too shall die. You too shall fall apart and wither away. And while she's here, while she's detained in the way that she is, you cannot move. You cannot say things. But I know you live. I know that you feel. I know that you were once a living creature, weren't you?" The golem, again tries to express any sort of emotion, but nothing comes out of it. No movement, no sound, nothing. And the ranger kind of just topples him to the side, and he falls off the shelf and crashes to the floor. His couple of his cobblestones scatter across the floor, and that will end the scene.
Oh, it seems to me our golem has been captured as well.
Don't worry, it's cool. We're going to the hunting grounds.
Yes.
I thought we might be. Can I come?
Yeah.
I'm coming too. So.
Yes. Everyone come. So it's nighttime. And Fawn has like gathered everyone together. Which is to say River, because that's the only person. And maybe our fox friend is there, but
Yeah.
she never seems to see him.
These guys creep me out.
And yeah, we're like looking down into this valley where the lodge of the Grey Rangers is. They're like a longhouse in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And the witch just says, these ones, they don't understand the way that life is. You see, it comes to an end. Very important. The Magus doesn't get it either. That's why they're all coercing each other into... Is that the word? I used the wrong word.
I don't know.
They're in cahoots. That's the word. Look. We're going to fix this. And this little one's going to help us. And she like reaches into her cloak where she had stashed the young man. And he's got like, in the wound, he's got this like plant that's growing out of it. And it's these vines and they're like wrapping up around his neck, like running down his arms. And so he kind of like, she puts him down and he kind of like stiffly stands at attention. He pulls, I don't know, he has like a sword or whatever that he draws. See, he's very unhappy with what's been going on here. He's going to help us.
Weren't you just talking about life coming to a natural end?
All of theirs, yes. Tonight. And she's like, go on, little one. Show us. And she like blows this breeze across him and it like ruffles the leaves of the vine. And you can see the young man like shiver and shudder and like cough a little bit. But then he starts like walking forward in this like low crouch and like showing us the way in. And let's roll a d6.
Yeah, I guess we gotta roll a d6.
Oh, someone's gonna get wounded.
Can it be me?
Yeah, totally.
Do we all need to roll it, or?
No, just me.
Yeah, just the person who does the scene.
And so, like, we do this like nighttime raid on
Yeah.
their lodge, led by this weird plant zombie ranger guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. And he doesn't talk at all, but he just like points silently and like, I don't know, I think a couple of them are like camped out outside or whatever, and he just like, plunges his sword into one of them from the shadows and then, gets in a sword fight with the other, and maybe River is also like...
Yeah, I'm out with my sword. And it's easy to tell when you're looking at River that like she's definitely had training,
Mhm.
She's not a nobody with a sword in her hand. She's somebody who knows exactly what she's doing when it comes down to it. Even though she's a little, scatterbrained, it seems, occasionally.
Yeah.
There's like a focus there.
And so, yeah, like during all this fighting, you don't notice, but the witch is just gone. Like the fawn is
Oh,
nowhere to be found. Suddenly, you like turn to look for her, and she's just not there.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, Caspian, you see this one like ranger in the moonlight, like up on a
Mhm.
hill. You see him like notch an arrow and fire it at River.
A river, yeah, and I think what happens is Caspian goes running and just like leaps and catches the arrow like right through his midsection, um, and just like falls over to the ground, um, not moving.
Cool. Well, you can get the wounded
Yeah, I'll take the
tag.
wounded. I will take the wounded tag.
That's exciting for you.
Shit.
And that's the scene. Maybe the last thing we hear is the like yelp of pain of this fox as he gets shot.
Oh. Sad days. It's your scene.
Yeah, no. What do I do? I think. Hmm. I think this is all just kind of in the same area, right? It's all around the lodge.
Yeah.
So I can just go. Um, so I think what happens is Caspian is lying there on the ground, like not moving for a few moments, and the all of a sudden, his eyes snap open, and he gets unsteadily to his feet, on all fours, and then he runs off to actually, I guess I'll just do it in the hunting grounds and I'll roll for it. Yeah, he gets unsteadily to his feet and he looks in the direction where the archer was. And with this arrow just like right in the middle of him, he goes running. Let's see what happens.
Wounded again.
Yes. Oh, oops. And I think in this particular instance, he gets up to the archer and he leaps at the archer. But the archer manages to get a shot off and it ends up grazing River like in the arm.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like severely wound her, but she is wounded. And at that point, like Caspian knocks the guy to the ground and takes him out.
Yeah. Get him.
And then I think that's I think the battle goes on for a little while longer. And yeah, I'll end the scene right there. And if you want to, pass it on, you can move the Magus and talk about how it resolved, or you can do something else.
I got one. It's my turn, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I am actually gonna go to the hall. Why we must stay. The next day, there aren't any rangers left. As far as we're aware. Anyone who stayed at this lodge, the 4 or 5 that were here, are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Dead. Bodies are gone. Rangers that have lived long lives decay very quickly. All that was left is the cloaks made of woven leaves. After an hour or so. We had to rescue the Magus, who we found here, tied up.
Mhm.
Who knows what they were going to do? But she's free now, and the golem. If we find the golem, I don't know. Do we here, Kettles?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. The golem as well, who disappeared, rescued. But best to take a rest. Not to mention, if any rangers are going to be coming back this way, they'll be coming back here. And River would rather face them here than stalk through the woods for the rest of their journey.
Mhm.
You know, wrapping a bandage around the cut she received from the arrow. She looks to Caspian, who needs far more treatment than she does.
Yeah, he still has an arrow like literally sticking through him.
Can I see Fawn anywhere, or is she still disappeared?
He is mysterious and absent.
Okay.
Mystery.
Mysterious and absent, okay. Caspian, just hold still, okay? I gotta try and figure this out. I gotta help you here. And she like rips a piece of her cloak off at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and goes, "Oh, that's a bad one. I mean, you're gonna be fine. This is gonna hurt a lot.
Yes.
Don't wriggle.
Yes, it will.
Don't wriggle around, okay?" And River sort of puts one hand on Caspian and the other one on the sharp end of the arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And snaps the end off of it.
Mm-hmm. And Caspian like flinches at that.
And she
Like
tries
growls.
and she
There's
tries
like, "Urgh."
and she tries really hard to just like pull it out real quick, the like non-barbed end.
Yeah, he makes like this screaming noise as you do. It's just like this
Okay,
blood-curdling animal like in pain howl.
Yeah, I told you it was gonna hurt. Okay, then like tries to bandage you up as best she can.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a medical professional by any means, but you know, she gets the arrow out of you. Suffice to say.
Yeah, and I think at that point Caspian like curls up against River and just falls asleep.
So we'll take a rest here. I assume that's okay with you, Magus? You know, and that's the scene. Like, just that last line, like, looking up, like, towards the Magus, and then scene over.
Catalyst.
Yeah. I'm going to move the scene forward to the Spirit River.
Ooh.
All right. It had been a harrowing couple of days. Fighting off the Rangers, first with strange magics, then with Blade. And then there was the darkness. It was a monster from ages long forgotten. But the Magus, she was able to sense the impending chase. It had not quite become dawn yet. Still, the birds were quiet. No rustling of the leaves. There was a purity to the silence. But the Magus's heart raced. The sweat dripped from her brow. The nightmare consumed her once more. And she knew it was time. Quietly, she woke up the others. Still, the world was quiet. as they open up the door to the lodge, they could hear the babbling brook not too far from them. Tied near the bank was a long boat. Together, the compatriots and her stepped into it, cut the rope, and floated down the river, knowing in the back of her mind that she needed to flee. And scene.
To make us with a sense of urgency, certainly.
Do we want to take a break?
Yeah, we'll grab a break here, and we will continue with the Spirit River when we return. Things are getting to the parts of Fall of Magic where they get like more strange. I think like it starts you out very like, here's some fantasy stuff, do the thing, and then it goes like, a promise you won't keep, like stuff like that. All right, so we will be right back with more Fall of Magic in a couple of minutes. See you then.